So, a couple of weeks ago, I had a very overscheduled day. I had a lot to do, and then on top of all the things that I had to do at the end of the day, I had to go and pick up my niece, Izzy, from school. However, I was very efficient that day, and I managed to get everything done very quickly, so much so that I had just over 2 hours to spare before I had to go pick up Izzy. So I'm just sitting around looking for something to do, looking through all my streaming channels, and I stumble upon Dinosaur Squadron Zyuranger. Now, for those of you who don't know, that is the Japanese action adventure show that Power Rangers took lots and lots of footage from to create the show that we know and love, the multimedia global phenomenon that is Power Rangers. Um, and I've always been very, very curious to see what those clips were like within their original context. And I sat down and I watched the first episode, and holy shit. I was not expecting what I saw. Um, and I will get to that in just a moment. I want to take very quickly. I just want to go back in time and establish what my history as a Power Rangers fan is, so you can understand my perspective watching Super Sentai for the very first time. Um, so I'm old enough to be able to claim that I was actually watching Fox Kids the day that Power Rangers premiered. And I'll never forget it because they wouldn't stop advertising the damn show. Every single commercial during that Saturday morning block, they would advertise Power Rangers via a trailer or a vignette or a featurette or an interview with the cast or something. Just every single commercial. And I ended up watching Power Rangers that morning strictly out of protest because I was so sick of seeing the commercials. My attitude was like, fine, I'll watch the show, just shut the hell up and stop showing these damn commercials. Um, and I watched it, and my initial reaction when I started watching it, and please excuse the fact that, I was a kid at the time, this is 1993. Um, but my initial reaction was that, oh, this is just a ripoff of Voltron and Gatchaman. And then when it was over, when the episode ended, I was still very, very sardonic and unimpressed about the whole thing. And my instantaneous feelings after finishing that first episode was, okay, yeah, that was fun, but it's not gonna last. So of course, I went on to watch Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for 3 years. Yes, I watched the entire Mighty Morphin era of Power Rangers. I didn't watch Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers. I didn't know that was a thing until I watched Linkara's History of Power Rangers. Somehow I missed that, but I watched the entire Mighty Morphin era of Power Rangers. I went to the theaters to see the movie. I had a lot of the merchandise. I had the deluxe Megazord that did everything like in the show. I had figurines, not action figures, figurines of the 5 Rangers. I had the 5 Rangers main weapons that were sold in one box and one set, that contained the Red Ranger's sword, the Black Ranger's axe, the Pink Ranger's bow, etc. I had the Morpher with the 5 coins. I had the first Super Nintendo game where you could only play with one Ranger at a time, which is ridiculous because they were a team of superheroes that should have been multiplayer. And I had the tie-in game for the movie, which was 2-player. Which, again, ridiculous. Super Nintendo was a multiplayer. You could play 4 players at a time, so I don't know why that game didn't have that feature. But that's not the point. The point is that I was really into it. And I remember clearly watching the episode where the command center is destroyed. And they started hyping and hyping and overhyping the next season of Power Rangers, which was going to be all new, bigger, and better. So here was my perspective at the time. Keep in mind that this is around 1995, I believe, when that happened. So I was already in my preteens, early teens. And even though I was watching it and enjoying it, my attitude towards the show was as follows. I was very well aware that they were utilizing footage from Japanese shows. I knew this. By that point, it was no longer a secret. And however, I excused that, and I excused the cheapness and simplicity of those early seasons of Power Rangers because they couldn't afford to make it better. So I excused it. However, by 1995, Power Rangers was one of the biggest franchises in the world. They just had a movie, for Pete's sake. So when they destroy the command center and they start to announce that this whole new this whole new season where the Power Rangers are going to be bigger and better, I thought, okay, this is it. This is when Power Rangers turns their back on all that stock footage they keep using, and they produce a 100% original primetime action adventure show with amazing special effects. And keep in mind that by this point, we already had, Hercules the Legendary Journeys. We had Xena Warrior Princess. Buffy had either premiered or was about to premiere. All those shows, primetime shows, live action with decent special effects and action sequences. So I'm imagining when they're advertising this new era of Power Rangers, I'm imagining something along those lines. And then I tuned in and I watched this new season, and it was Power Rangers Zeo, and it just looked cheap and lame again and again with the old stock footage and all that stuff. It just looked like a huge step backwards after they had evolved and grown and grown and grown for 3 years. So I stopped watching it. I just completely turned my back on Power Rangers. That's when I stopped watching it on a regular basis, and I didn't look at Power Rangers for years until Power Rangers in Space crossed over with Ninja Turtles, The Next Mutation. I hate Ninja Turtles, The Next Mutation, but I'm still a Ninja Turtles fan, and it was momentous for the Ninja Turtles to meet the Power Rangers, who were their main competition, so I watched that episode and enjoyed it, by the way. Enjoyed it more than Power Rangers The Next Mutation. Excuse me, Ninja Turtles The Next Mutation. My apologies. Anyway, but that was it. That was the last episode of Power Rangers that I watched the day that it premiered. Currently, as an adult, I'm an extremely casual Power Rangers fan. I went to theaters to see the movie in 2017, enjoyed it very much, and I agree with a lot of you who find it depressing that there weren't any sequels or continuations to that particular franchise of Power Rangers. And I watched the anniversary special last year, Once and Always. Very disappointed the Bulk and Skull were not in it. So that's my status, my current status as a Power Rangers fan. Strictly casual. If something new and interesting comes along, I'll give it a try. And that's it. So that was my mentality going in when I sat down to watch Dinosaur Squadron Zyuranger just a few weeks ago. And I have never gone back and rewatched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I vicariously enjoy that franchise and those old episodes through Linkara and through a few of my fellow colleagues and internet producers who make videos and make references to that show. And the reason I can't go back and rewatch it or have no interest in rewatching it is because I just find that original era of Power Rangers to be so nauseatingly saccharine and condescending. And that is something that I cannot stand. That is the binding theme of all the animated shows that I like. Batman the Animated Series, Gargoyles, Kim Possible, Avatar The Last Airbender. They are not condescending. They talk up to their audience, not down to their audience. So, I sat down to watch Dinosaur Squadron Zyuranger. And holy shit, just like I said at the top of this video, just blown away. It is exactly what I just described. Yes, it's extremely corny and silly, but it's very much akin to classic Doctor Who episodes. Yes, it's fantastic and goofy and sometimes very silly, but the show is never condescending. And the actors in the show never treat the material like it's dumb. They play their parts completely straight, very much like classic Doctor Who. And they give it the reverence and the gravitas that the moments may not have because of the look or the themes that they might be touching upon. So that was the first thing that blew me away. The next thing that blew me away was that there were a lot of mature themes. The characters would die. There were real stakes whenever the Rangers would go into battle. And of course, the backstories of the characters. Holy crap. So I was so blown away by this show that I decided to do a little research on it and find out more about it, just out of interest. And lo and behold, I find out, and then I was further educated by a lot of you on social media, that that was not Hayam Saban's original choice to adapt Power Rangers from. His original choice was Super Electron Bioman. So after I finished watching Zyuranger, I decided to check out Super Electron Bioman, and just 100 times better. As great as Dinosaur Squadron Zyuranger is, Super Electron Bioman is just leaps and bounds ahead. And apparently Saban produced a pilot for Power Rangers using that footage, a pilot that unfortunately has never been seen. A pilot starring Mark Dacascos as the Red Ranger, Tom Silardi as the Bioman, Trivia Fisher as the Yellow Bioman, Rebecca Staples as the pink one, and Miguel Nunez Jr. as the green one. So like I said, the stakes are real, it's very cool, and it's serialized. Power Rangers is just lots and lots of self-contained episodes. Occasionally you get a two-parter. Here it's ongoing. The battle against evil is ongoing. Each season, as you guys say, of Super Sentai, or each series, as I like to say, is only 50 episodes long, and it has a beginning, middle, and end. Both of these shows are great. The two that I saw, Bioman and Zyuranger, are great. However, I heavily recommend Bioman because it is... Reading up on it, I found out that the producers wanted to make a show that was a game changer, that brought that particular genre of entertainment to the next level, and achievement unlocked. They definitely did what they set out to do. Holy crap. But here's the interesting thing. A bunch of elements from Bioman still made it into Power Rangers. Elements that are not present in Zyuranger. For example, the fact that the heroes are just regular people that are chosen to be the Biomen. They have secret identities, which they suck at keeping. They're constantly transforming into the Biomen in front of people all the time. Like, our secret identities are but they transform, and so I guess it doesn't matter. Plus, all the bad guys know their secret identities. So, but anyway, that element, those two elements definitely made it into Power Rangers, which are not present and Zyuranger. The communication watches are from Bioman. And of course, the hilariously effeminate robot is from Bioman, not from Zyuranger. However, here's the difference. Alpha 5 from Power Rangers is just an exposition machine and the occasional comic relief. Peebo on Bioman is a fully fledged out character, and I'll elaborate on her in just a minute. I tolerate Alpha 5. I would die for Peebo. Love the character. Very well written, very well performed. That's the difference. Also, Bioman was the first Super Sentai show to feature two female heroes. And not only that, but it was also the first show to designate the colors of pink and yellow to the two female heroes. So that was, again, another thing that carried over. But holy crap, I cannot recommend this enough. If you love Power Rangers and have never seen Super Sentai and are looking for a good place to start, a good gateway show to get into the other shows, Bioman is the best place to start. I promise you. And then, watch Zyuranger and the others in whatever order you deem most appropriate. So, let's talk exclusively about Zyuranger, the show that Power Rangers borrowed the most from. While I love Bioman, the one area where I 100% agree that Zyuranger is better is the aesthetics. The costumes look better, the weapons look better, the mechs, the giant robot, the monsters, all that stuff looked way better. The production design was on a whole other level. And it's good on Bioman. I'm not knocking what they did. It's just on a whole other level of craftsmanship. And as many critics and commentators agree, a big part of what helped Power Rangers grow into the phenomenon that it was the designs of these characters and these vehicles, and that translated so well into toys. So looking at them both side by side, I can see why it was fortuitous that Hayam Saban ended up going with Zyuranger instead. But again, cannot emphasize this enough, Bioman is a superior show. So, what are the differences between Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Zyurangers? Here we go. First of all, they didn't have a second female ranger like Bioman. They had 4 boys and 1 girl. Geki, Goshi, Dan are the red, black, and blue rangers, and May is the pink ranger, and the yellow ranger is a boy named Boy. I can't make that up. They're not teenagers with attitude. They don't have secret identities. The story goes like this. 170 million years in the past, there was this highly advanced civilization on Earth that worshipped dinosaurs. And their greatest enemy, the witch Bandora, not Rita, declares war on them. They fight her for years until they defeat her and capture her in this giant magical urn, which they launch to another planet, to planet Nemesis, not the moon. And it lands there, and after years and years and years, the ground covers up the urn, and all that's left is the top. A lot of people always think that what Rita's captured in is a giant trash can. It's not. What you're seeing is the top of an urn sticking out of the ground after it was buried for years and years. Anyway, but they know that one day she will escape, so they take their 5 greatest warriors and they put them in suspended animation to be reawakened if Bandora were ever to escape her prison. Fast forward to the future, Earth discovers planet Nemesis. They send some nosy astronauts up there. They dig around, they find the top of her urn, they uncover it, and she comes out ready to get her revenge. She's not necessarily concerned with taking over Earth. She just wants revenge for what was done to her. So, of course, the five Zyurangers are woken up from stasis and they get to work. And something that's really cool about the Super Sentai shows, both of the all the ones that I've seen so far, I don't want to reveal others beyond the two that I've talked about because you guys get excited and you will spoil them. But superpowered Sentai heroes are 100% common in Japan, so people have no reaction to them. They just go, "Oh, you're the Zyurangers. Okay, cool," and then that's it. And they're never shocked to see anybody transform. How are you doing that? They don't care. The reactions are very mundane, and it's very rare when somebody's legitimately excited to see them or see them transform. So that a matter of fact attitude that common citizens have towards them is hilarious. So the Zyurangers have no secret identities. They're public figures, and there are many episodes where they're just walking around, having fun, enjoying their day, and somebody comes up to them and asks them for help. And they're like, all right, well, it's morphing time. They don't say it's morphing time. And they transform. Dino Buckler. They activate their Dino Buckler and transform. Anyway, so that I thought was really cool. It was a very Nick Cage motif they had going on there, where they're the type of heroes that if anyone can call for help. They're not very mysterious. They're very, very transparent about who they are and what they're about and how they will serve their community. So that's very cool. And now I would like to share to you Bandora, Rita Repulsa's origin story. This blew me away. This is like about 4 episodes before the finale, maybe 5, that they officially reveal what happened to her, why she became who she became. So as it turns out, 170 million years ago, Bandora was a normal woman. And she had a son named Kai, who was a little spoiled and a little brat, but, kid. So the kid throws rocks at a dinosaur, and of course, in their culture at the time, dinosaurs are sacred. You're not supposed to do that. So he antagonizes this dinosaur, which I'm going to say was a T-Rex. It chases after the kid, and he falls off a cliff and dies. They showed a kid dying in a kid's show. And he's just dead on the ground, bleeding out of his ear. Bandora is so full of grief and anger in that moment that she sells her soul to the devil to become a witch and get her revenge on the 5 tribes, as they, like I said, they worship prehistoric creatures for giving the prehistoric creatures such leeway and such reverence that she feels they didn't deserve. And currently, as her in her all-powerful witch form in the present, one of the recurring themes in the show is how much she hates children and how a good 90% of her schemes are centered around punishing kids or putting kids in danger. And the reason she hates children is because she can't stand to see them having the life that her son was deprived of. Wow. Never expected Bandora to be a sympathetic villain, very much like the kind you would see in Batman, the animated series. Never would have imagined that. And it's kind of sad that they didn't really give her much of a backstory in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and her backstory in Zyurangers is way better than her backstory in the 2017 movie where she was just the Green Ranger and she went evil. Just mind-blowing. And now, be warned, I'm about to spoil the ending of Dinosaur Squadron Zyuranger, so if anything that I've said so far sounds interesting to you and you want to check it out, it's free on Tubi. Go watch it, enjoy it, then come back and finish this video. But I'm about to spoil it, so you've been warned. I have one bone to pick with this show, one legitimate complaint, and it is this, that this is how the show ends. Everything has been building up to their final battle with Bandora. Rarely have the Rangers come face to face with her. So, in the end, she summons the Great Satan. Yes, Great Satan is a major villain on the show, and but he doesn't physically interact with his opponents. No, he needs an agent. He needs a subordinate, a surrogate to act on his behalf. So he brings Bandora's son Kai back to life, but it's not really him. It's like a demonic version, kind of a meat puppet for Great Satan to use as a surrogate while fighting the Rangers. Um, of course, Bandora, who hasn't seen her son in 170 million years, is full of sentiment and now believes that after she defeats the Rangers and takes over the Earth, she can finally be with her son like she always wanted. The twist is she's not allowed to touch him. She can't physically make contact with him. Plus, he hates her and doesn't see her as his mother, which of course breaks her heart. And then when the Rangers defeat Great Satan, of course, that version of Kai goes away, just evaporates. And Bandora catches him in her arms, and he just cross dissolves away, and she cries. And for a witch to show any kind of sentiment, sadness, or shed tears, it breaks her pact with her benefactor, in this case, the devil, and it takes her powers away. She has no powers. The Rangers just walk in. There's no fight. She has no powers, so she just surrenders. And here's my issue with this ending. Number one, the whole thing about her losing her powers if she cries or showed any sentiment was never a thing. For 49 episodes, that never came up. They never fought another witch where they used that to defeat her. That never happened. They literally pulled that out of their ass. Deus ex tears is how I like to refer to it. And the second thing, and this is more important, the moment that this evil, horrible witch who would constantly torment children, who constantly hurt people, who constantly made the Rangers suffer and fought them to the last, the moment that this woman felt sadness and grief, she is punished. The moment that she had an inkling of a good feeling, of a humane feeling, she gets punished and put back into her urn. That was harsh. That was pretty darn harsh. And a lot of you were like, oh, but in the end, she's in the urn with all of her minions, and Gryffindor and Lammy, Scorpina, have a child, and now she gets to be their aunt, and now she likes kids. And I'm like, no, no. That still doesn't fix the fact that they dangled her dead son in front of her face, then took her son away, made her cry, broke her heart. She's grieving, and she's under arrest. That's messed up. But again, the rest of the show, really great. I will say this. As extraordinary as Dinosaur Squadron Zyuranger is, there were still two things from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers that it didn't have, and I greatly miss. And that was Bulk and Skull. There's no replacing those two guys. Jason Narvi, Paul Schreier, terrific. They are the heroes of that franchise, the unsung heroes of that franchise. I genuinely found myself missing them. And even more so, the other thing that I found myself really missing while watching both Zyuranger and Bioman is Ron Wasserman's badass music. Holy crap. No replacement for that man and the kick-ass tunes that he added to Power Rangers. Anyway, so there you go. That was my experience watching Super Sentai for the very first time. As I have already pointed out, yes, I'm watching other shows. I don't want to reveal what those shows are because you guys get too excited, you start talking about them, and you freaking spoil them. I love you, but you keep spoiling shows for me, so I'm going to keep that to myself until I'm done. I will say that the shows that I've been watching, not enjoying them as much as Bioman and Zyuranger. However, I haven't finished them yet, so who knows? It might get better towards the end. Do I recommend these shows like I just did? Yes, absolutely I do. Especially if you are a Power Rangers fan, I think it's kind of required viewing at least these two shows. Um, do I recommend these to people who are not Power Rangers fans? If you love classic cheesy sci-fi and you love legitimately great martial arts uh, choreography and fight sequences, God, yes, watch this. Because that blew me away. The action sequences in these shows blow Power Rangers out of the water. Um, just some of the most amazing, genuinely impressive stuff you'll ever see, not just for television, for anything. You know, quality, fight choreography, and action sequences worthy of movies and more. So there you go. That's the end of my rant. Anyway, so and now for the part of the video that all of you have been waiting for, the announcement. Right now on my Patreon page, a fully edited video in which I share my initial reaction to the Vox Machina Season 3 trailer slash teaser slash new opening sequence, and then I break it down. Frame by frame, moment by moment, I break it down and reveal what everything means, everything that I can reveal without spoiling things for the future of the show, as well as point out a few interesting Easter eggs that I noticed during that sequence. If you want to see that video, but you're not a patron, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/ERod and pledge $1. That's it, $1, and I get to continue producing the Blockbuster Buster, and you guys get bonus videos. You can't beat that with a wooden stick. And now for the big announcement. What will my next honest review be? The 14th Doctor. Yes, David Tennant and Catherine Tate's brief return to Doctor Who in just a few weeks from now on this channel. Thank you so much for your ongoing support, because as per usual, I remind you, because it's 100% true, I cannot do what I do without you.